What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I've got a clip to show you guys, and as you can see, I'm kind of delighted at this point because Tim Burchett, we've talked about him before on the channel. He's one of my favorite congressmen. Like he's in that top 10 or whatever of the 10 that I actually think, care about the American citizen. They actually care about their constituents. They're actually working for the good of the American population, trying to make this government work for us instead of us working for the government and paying taxes and all that nonsense. But Tim Burchett is a genius at this point, right? He's come out, he's made statements, and I've seen, articles and clips talking about him before, and the corporate press doesn't like him. Right, so he comes on with Jake Tapper and just absolutely dismantles Jake Tapper's entire worldview. Just in a few short minutes, just dismantles this guy's just everything about him. It is lovely to see. But before we get into that clip right quick, y'all do me that big favor and smash that like button for me. Share this video anywhere and everywhere you can. You may have noticed there's ads on my videos now, and if you look right below the video, you'll see a join button. Click that, sign up, join the membership. I would love that. That would be the greatest thing you guys could ever do for me. I'm over the hill right now with everything that's going on with the Trump administration, and I'm trying to expand and grow. So if y'all could do me that favor, but let's get into dismantling Jake Tapper's worldview. Here we go.
In the past, Putin was obviously he was dealing with Biden, and he knew that Ukraine was stealing, at least by their own admission, half the money that we sent them. And now under Trump, they know that's going to stop and the fighting will stop. I don't see the equivalency there other than that President Trump is going to stop the fighting, and he's stopping us throwing our money down a well over there in a war we have nothing to do with. So yeah, I stand by my previous statement, and it holds well.
I don't think it's accurate to say that Ukraine was stealing half the money over there.
Well, their own president said they don't know where half of it is. Now, you all got to get your facts straight, because everybody knows that. It's been reported in multiple news sources.
Congressman, as you know, most of the money that went to Ukraine was military aid, weapons that were manufactured and purchased in the United States.
So you're paying off the war pimps at the Pentagon to prolong this war. I mean, men are dying because of somebody's profit sheet is what you're saying, and that's what this country is about, and that is wrong, and that needs to stop, and it's stopping under Trump, and that's why both sides are quietly pitching a fit right now, because they're not going to get rich off of young men dying and old men making terrible decisions, and that's exactly what's going on.
I think people are dying because Russia attacked Ukraine. I mean, I think that is the reason why people are dying.
At the beginning of that war, we were on both sides, if you haven't forgotten. We had gas contracts with Russia, and then we were giving money to Ukraine. So in effect, they played both sides of the coin, and that's why nobody's in a rush to get this thing going. So we ought to be at war because America's going to profit? Is that what you're saying? Because that sounds a whole lot like what you're saying. Well, you just said that the arms are being bought here in America. I mean, by your own admission, you're saying that that this is a profiteer situation, and that's exactly what it is, and it needs to stop.
I was trying to explain what Zelensky meant when he said he'd like to see where that money went.
If he's in charge of that country and their finances, why doesn't he know where the money went? That's what you're saying, and you can't have it. That is wrong. We're borrowing that money. Every dollar we gave to Ukraine is borrowed. Do you know when we gave our missile defense system to Ukraine, that when President Biden, by executive order, did that members of Congress in both parties had stock in the missile defense company, and that was a multi-billion-dollar contract. That was a no-bid contract to replenish our missile supply. This thing is about dollars and cents, and they don't give a rip about young men dying. The money and supplies we're giving them, or have given them, they're unchecked by Zelensky's own words. And I'm not putting words in your mouth, and you're not putting them in mine. Those are Zelensky's own words, that he doesn't know where that money went. So that should tell you some things about this whole war, what it's about. It's not about a conflict of freeing entrapped people. It's about making dollars.
Do you think that President Putin is responsible for this war beginning?
Absolutely, 100%. Putin's a thug. But again, where is all the outrage in the halls of Congress about the mistreatment of people by the Chinese? Nobody's going to go to war by them, and I'll tell you why. Because if you flip over every computer chip or everybody's tie, it's going to say "Made in China." Because it's all about the dollars, brother. That's the only reason.
What I just love so much about that is he expertly goats Jake Tapper into saying this is all about money. This is something you can do, and it's easily done for the most part. Anytime you find something confusing, right? Like, how do you reconcile, being in agreement with war, wanting to send funding to Ukraine, defending democracy, like for a country who most people can't find on a map. All of a sudden we're so concerned with Ukraine, blah, 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 blah. You got to do is follow the money. Like he said, he doesn't know where half the money went. That's because it went back into the military-industrial complex in this country. Right? And there's also reports, and none of it's really been confirmed because, once that money disappears into Ukraine, into the black market, you don't know where it goes at that point. You can never get anything conclusive out of that. But we've had several reports that Ukrainian military are selling our weapons that we ship over there on the black market to get money. Right? That, once again, can't prove it, so that is chalked up to conspiracy theory for the time being until we do prove it, right? But you know what I love about this is these people yell and cheer and, wave their Ukrainian flags, and they don't realize the death and destruction that this war is causing. And that us over here in the real world, we're like, where's the peace? How come nobody, they're all saying we're standing up for Ukraine, blah, blah, blah. They'll go on and on and on, defending democracy and blah, 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 and all this nonsense. But how come there's no peace negotiations? Because these people want this war to continue, knowing that wars cannot continue indefinitely. They want to extend it as long as they can, because every single congressman, like he said, most of these people, anybody that comes out, just follow the money, that comes out in defense of Ukraine, wanting to continue this war, they all have a lot of investment into the military-industrial complex. Like Raytheon and Boeing and Lockheed Martin and all these other places, right? They just have so much money tied up, and they want to continue this going because that's going to make their market grow. As a matter of fact, and it's going to enrich themselves anymore. And you hear this a lot from a lot of people. They'll say, we need to stop congressmen from buying and trading stocks. It's insider trading, blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what I say to that? Let them continue to do so, because all we have to do as plebeians over here, right? All we have to do is just follow their trades. Hey, why the hell not, right? We might not have a lot of money to throw into it, but we do have retirement plans, don't we? Most everybody tries to buy into some sort of retirement. There you go. Tell your advisor, anytime Nancy Pelosi buys or sells stocks, you do the same. Follow them. There you go. Now you can enrich yourselves off the backs of the stock market, off the backs of these people enriching themselves. Right? I see that as, just a net positive, in my opinion. Sure, they're enriching themselves, but they also have to make all these trades public because they're congressmen. So we can follow those trades. But let's get in. I've got a news article, too, by the way, to reconcile something that we've been talking about over the past couple of days. Everybody was coming out talking about this whole Zelensky and Trump thing, and you guys might be kind of tired of talking about that. It's kind of why I threw that clip at the beginning to make, essentially a standalone video I was going to do, but I might as well throw all this in together, and you guys check out my next video. It's going to be great as well. It's also going to wrap up something that we've been covering over the past week or so. But without any further ado, let's get into this right quick. Check it. Breaking. U.S. and Ukraine to sign mineral deal in stunning reversal of Oval Office dust-up. You got to love how they call it a dust-up. Right? So Zelensky capitulated. He pseudo-apologized. Right? And we'll get into that. But, I was watching a debate earlier today. And, somebody brought up something, Scott Horton, as a matter of fact, brought up something very interesting. And I kind of looked into it a little bit, and I totally agree with him on this. There's no major deposits of minerals in Ukraine. Like, nobody's paying attention to this. Why are we signing a mineral deal for Ukraine? Well, I see where Trump is going with this. Once again, this is red meat to the base, signaling to everybody that, look, we're going to get something in return, which they may have mineral deposits, whatever. If we get something in return, sure, but this is a way that Donald Trump can essentially appease his base and also support Ukraine all at the same time. He can get everybody on board with this, saying, look, we're going to get something out of it. It's a pseudo security guarantee because that deal is going to put boots on the ground, not military, but construction, miners and all that other stuff to go in and mine the materials and blah, 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 blah. So that's going to be essentially a red line for Putin to not go any further. Otherwise, you're going to enrage the United States. You're going to enrage Donald Trump. And as we know, most world leaders kind of view Donald Trump as the unpredictable person. You don't know exactly how he's going to respond, right? He's probably not going to nuke Moscow. But, if there's a 5% chance, it's not really worth going into Ukraine any further. So we'll see how this all plays out. But let's get into this. And we'll see just how much Zelensky capitulated here. Let's get into it, y'all. The United States and Ukraine will sign a minerals deal after all. Reuters reported Tuesday a stunning reversal after last week's disastrous Oval Office meeting between President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Reuters reported U.S. President Donald Trump's administration and Ukraine plan to sign the much-debated minerals deal following a disastrous Oval Office meeting Friday in which Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was dismissed from the building. 4 people familiar with the situation said on Tuesday. You know what's funny about this is, all the left-wing outlets are saying, Zelensky was kicked out, blah, 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 blah. And then all the right-wing outlets are saying he swiftly left. So, the truth, once again, is usually somewhere in between all this. So, yeah, we could probably see Zelensky was pissed and left. I don't think Donald Trump actually said, get out. But it is what it is. President Donald Trump has told his advisors that he wants to announce the agreement in his address to Congress this evening. 3 of these sources said, cautioning that the deal had yet to be signed and the situation could change. Yeah, it could, but it's probably not going to, considering all the facts. Last Friday's White House confab, whatever that is, between Trump, Zelensky, and Vice President J.D. Vance started out cordially enough, but broke down into a bitter conflict with other administration officials and the press corps looking on as Vance complained Zelensky had not shown enough gratitude, and Zelensky argued that Russia could not be trusted to honor agreements after Putin had violated them so many times. And that's what it was. Zelensky signaling, we don't want a ceasefire. That's pretty much what he come to. What are these agreements here? What are they going to do? He's just going to defy these agreements and do what he wants. Well, that's signaling you don't care about peace negotiations, my guy. That's what that tells Donald Trump. And that pissed him off because Donald Trump sees this as a major roadblock to fixing our economy, for crying out loud. We've got to get that war to come to an end before we can get the economy back on track. And this also was one of his campaign promises. He's going to end that war within 24 hours. Well, that is long past, right? But, everybody heard that and was like, yeah, I don't think he can end it in 24 hours, right? I was kind of hopeful that, sure, Putin would be like, okay, we have somebody we can work with. Can't work with Biden. Because, what does Biden do? Calls him a dictator, calls him an evil guy, and then do you really expect to go to the negotiating table after hearing rhetoric like that? I mean, would you want to, if your neighbor is over here, just constantly launching verbal assaults in your direction, would you want to go and sign some deal that allows him to borrow your lawnmower or something like that? Just any old thing. You can just, exchange whatever I said with anything. It doesn't really matter. But my point is, you don't insult people and actively work to undermine another country and then try to go negotiate peace. Especially when you're an outside third party in this, like the United States. It makes no sense. But let's keep going. The meeting soon ended with the Ukrainian delegation being asked to leave without the agreement being signed and without even getting lunch. Oh, Crimean River. Trump's allies blamed Zelensky for the mess. The president was reportedly demanding an explicit public apology from Zelensky before coming back to the negotiating table. The Kremlin cheered the whole debacle, and world leaders publicly declared support for Ukraine. I love the corporate press at this point because, Oh, yeah, they publicly declared their support for Ukraine. So once again, that is publicly declaring that you want this war to continue. These people, if you talk to them, if you sit down and listen to what they say, they want regime change in Russia, which, once again, might not be a bad deal, right? But in a perfect world, yeah, we could just go and tell Putin, hey, you got to get out. But, I mean, is that realistic here? That is not realistic, by the way. So in a real world, we have no levers to pull Putin from his position, right? He holds all the cards here. Essentially, we have to make him agree to stop fighting. That's what we have to do. Outside of World War III, doing this by force. And once again, if we get into a conventional warfare with Russia, that's probably going to turn nuclear because, as we all know, there is no way Russia could withstand NATO at this point. There is zero chance in conventional warfare that Russia can fight to a stalemate, could hold us back at all, right? It might not be as easy as, say, Iraq was in the early 90s, the first Iraq war. Might not be that easy, but I would say within a year, Moscow would fall. Most definitely outside of nuclear arms, which, once again, they have a doctrine of if it's existential, say bye-bye to Washington, D.C. type of thing, right? Many cities across the entire northern hemisphere would be absolutely obliterated. So we don't want that. We don't want that at all. The unsigned deal would have laid the framework for a U.S.-Ukraine partnership to develop Ukrainian natural resources, but included no explicit security guarantees, a sticking point for Zelensky after so many broken treaties, including 1994's Budapest Memorandum, under which Ukraine gave up its sizable nuclear arsenal in exchange for security assurances from the U.S., Russia, and the U.K. This week brought more tough news for the Ukrainians as they seek resources to help fend off Russia's invading forces, with Trump continuing to publicly lambaste Zelensky and media outlets reporting that the White House had ordered a pause on all pending U.S. aid to Ukraine. And here we go. We've got the corporate press trying to invoke the Budapest Memorandum here, in which, Putin outright defied. And, I wonder just for a second, what president did he do that under? When did all this take place? Under Obama and under Biden. That is right. He didn't invade Ukraine under Trump at all because, once again, he knew Trump's a wild card. You have no idea what's going to go on with this guy. So, that being said, you like how they're using this as an excuse to say that, well, if we sign security assurances for Ukraine, who's to say that Putin's going to obey them at this point? So that basically telegraphing to everybody that, oh, well, we should just invade Russia. That's what that says. Don't care however you want to spin it. That's exactly what that says, because what else could it say at this point? Trump is scheduled to deliver a speech to a joint session to Congress Tuesday night at 9 p.m. tonight. A president's very first remarks to Congress during a term is not designated as a State of the Union speech because of the short time in office at that point. Yeah. Who cares? Numerous Democrats have announced they had planned to wear Ukrainian flags or colors to voice opposition to Trump's recent actions or boycott the speech altogether. Right? What is that going to do, Democrats? That's just going to make you look like petulant children throwing a temper tantrum. That's what that does. That doesn't help your cause. So, Democrats, I would beg you, please continue to do this. This is great. Keep doing this. We're going to win the midterms. That would be so great to be able to keep this momentum all the way through the midterms. To just shove it right in the face of Democrats because they just don't know what to do right now. Their rhetoric that Trump is evil, Orange Man bad, constantly over the past 8-9 years has just been insane. And I think the American people have finally cut through the propaganda, the BS from the corporate press, and seen that Trump is not an evil orange man. He wants what's best for this country, and that he wants to make America great again, America first type of policies here. And, you know, their rhetoric just isn't working anymore, especially when it comes to Trump. Now, a lot of people don't like Trump's boisterous attitude, you know, his kind of semi-flamboyant actions. It's definitely outside of the norm for a president to act this way. But a lot of people, like, you know, maybe in secret, maybe not so in secret, actually like that. They like a strong leader to get up and tell somebody like a Zelensky, who appears to be taking advantage of the United States, to sit down and shut up and let's go to the negotiating table because you, my guy, are in my way. That's what Trump's saying here. You're in the way of making our economy great, of making my country better again, because now we have to worry about the democracy and independent, you know, territorial integrity of Ukraine at this point. And, yeah, we don't really care about that at this point. Yeah, I'm sorry. You know, these people, they really need to stop with all this nonsense rhetoric. If you want to go after Trump, do it in a way that makes sense, right? Don't boycott one of his speeches because you're throwing a temper tantrum. Make a logical argument, put that together, and bring that to the corporate press. I can promise you, they will air it. And if it makes sense, people will be on board with you. If that's what my message to Democrats constantly is, come with some logic. Something that makes sense, instead of just railing and gnashing your teeth about how bad Trump is, without evidence, by the way, because that's all they do. I mean, let's use the corporate press tactic here, because that's what they've done for the past 8 years, is told you that Donald Trump is an evil orange man without showing the proof at all. They just keep ramming that point home. And what's sad about that is a lot of people have bought into that and just think, oh, yeah, he is bad, isn't he? And don't even know why he's bad. You get out there, we've seen all the man on the streets. Why is Trump bad? Well, he just is. He's a racist. Well, name something he's done that is racist. And they can't name anything. Sure, they're being put on the spot. But even still, if you have these strong convictions, if you truly believe that he is an evil orange man, you would have something to back that up. But they don't. They never do. Because there is not much. You could go in and say, oh, well, he's a corrupt guy. Well, you know, that remains to be seen at this point. It's unprovable. You could say that. Well, once again, it's unprovable. Until we can prove it. Right? Like a lot of people are like, Trump's so stupid. He's got Pam Bondi going after Jeffrey Epstein files, knowing that Trump's going to be on it. These people actually believe. Right? That, which, by the way, that's my next video. We're going deeper in on that. So y'all make sure and stay tuned on that. I'm just rambling at this point. So I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. It blows my mind. And like I said, I would greatly appreciate if y'all would click that join button right down there. That would be the greatest thing that you guys could ever do for me. It would keep me afloat. It would keep me going. Because like I said, I'm trying to expand and I'm trying to grow this channel. I'm trying to grow so I can get this message out about how the corporate press manipulates everything. Just blanketly manipulates everything at every single angle. So y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all make sure and share this video, smash that like button, and do all that goodly goopy gop stuff. So y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.